There he is.
Good morning.
Really on here.
So, good morning.
Good morning.
Mayor, we're not going to make you talk about basketball. You can if you want, but I've got normally. Would you want to talk about it?
I will just say this is the morning after, and so it's still tough because this seemed like the team that could do it, and that's what's disappointing. This one feels different.
I agree.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough. I love March Madness, but when Kentucky loses first round, it does make it a little more difficult to watch.
The sad thing is we're getting a little bit used to it. But yeah, it's so hard going out in the first weekend because you got to deal with the rest of the tournament. And normally we love the whole thing, and now you're out, and I don't want any part of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't have to deal with the rest of the tournament.
Right. And it's brutal. When you love that sporting event so much, and then you're not taking part of it. Okay, enough. I got a little warm-up question for the mayor since we're not doing a question of the day.
Okay.
Mayor, yesterday the news was that Apple is getting hit with an antitrust lawsuit. We're not going to go into it big. I got one small question for you. Would you make Apple send blue text to Androids if you could? Do you think they should?
Blue text to Androids?
Right, because they, only the iPhones get the blue.
If I could, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. Is that a softball question? That's a tough question. So, if I could, then I would say yes, without much background to base that decision on.
They screw the whole thing up. If you got an Android person in your group text, it's just a nightmare.
I see.
And then sometimes it doesn't reply all if it's in a group, and then there's
because it's a different type of encoded message. The green ones are SMS texts, and they're like, why don't you just send the blue ones to? So that's part of it.
Why don't you just get an iPhone?
Well, I wish that were.
And that's the point.
If that were in the mayor's purview, I would address that.
Not so much.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to let you all talk grown-up talk now.
Oh, okay. Well, hello over there.
Hi. I love the new setup in the studio.
Oh, okay.
And it's always great to be back, and particularly on a Friday. And even though Kentucky's out of March Madness, it does. I'm sure I'll watch some college basketball this weekend.
I mean, there are two other Kentucky teams, right?
Yeah, Western Kentucky plays this afternoon.
Moorhead is out, right?
Oh, did Moorhead lose?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we still have Western Kentucky in the mix.
Yes.
And that's possible.
So we can pull for Western, right, Scott?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm a hilltopper, so
you are? Well, good.
Yes,
Well, there we go.
And
Okay.
I should.
Well, first of all, I'll say you and I were busy last night, so we missed part of the game.
That's true.
We were here with Together Frankfort for their Civics 101 series. So can you just talk a little bit about that and why it's important to get involved in groups like that?
I was happy to participate, and Together Frankfort, they're having a monthly series, a Civics 101 series, as they're calling it, and both the county judge and I participated to talk about the structure of city and county governments, the makeup of the boards and commissions, and what those boards do. And then it turned into a little Q&A because you had the mayor and the county judge there. So
got them right there, full attention.
So lots of questions. And actually, that was our second meeting with a group of citizens in the community room at the plant board yesterday. So we had a busy day. But it was a great event. And we look forward to doing more. And I should give a shout out today to the county judge. Today's his birthday, so happy birthday.
It is. I saw that. Well, happy birthday to Judge Moeller. I'm sure he'll celebrate this weekend.
And a couple of things that we talked about was, one of the things was we had a big development last week. We had an announcement that the Home Street grant that we applied for, and what it is, it's a Reconnecting Neighborhoods and Communities grant that we applied for. We were successful, and that's an award of over $20 million. And
that's amazing.
If you factor in the city match, which includes some of the plant board is contributing to that as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be a $28 million project or so, and it's stacking on to other announcements that have been made and other grants that we've applied for. So if you take it all in, I think that, along with others, we're talking upwards of $300 million that could be flowing into Frankfort over the next few years. So we're working to get these big investments to bolster the private investment that's already happening, particularly in the downtown area. We're starting to see New Life, St. Clair, Broadway, and Main Street. And I don't know if you noticed, but there's at least 12 new businesses
It's crazy.
that have opened up downtown
Yeah.
in the past year.
Yes.
And based on my count.
I saw some stuff on Facebook of some South Frankfort kids who grew up here have moved away, and then we're back for last weekend, and were posted about, oh my gosh, what's happened to downtown Frankfort? It's amazing. So I mean, just people who grew up here and then come back and see what a great place it is to be downtown, and just again the thriving businesses. So I was pretty proud of that.
You know, there's a lot of work we still need to
Yeah.
do, and but we do think we're at a tipping point, and but we need to make sure that we don't go. We need to make sure that the housing is
Yeah.
still there. We need to make sure that the tourism, the people have a place to stay, but also we need the long-term residents to not get priced out if
Right.
things get too hot
Yeah.
in downtown Frankfort. We're not there yet, if you ask me, but there's some things that we're trying to get these big investments in infrastructure and like the riverfront development. We're also applying for grant funds.
I'm very excited
there.
about that. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with that.
Well, it's a step-by-step process. First thing we had to do is get control over some of the properties, which we did last year. We picked up a couple of properties from the state, and then we bought one on the private market. But now we have to apply for grants to stabilize the riverbank because we can't really build on the
If
riverbank.
it's just going to slide into the river.
Right, we need to be able to make
No
sure
bueno.
that sure, not good.
So back to the Home Street thing real quick. So with that big infusion of money, what should folks expect to see happening on Home Street?
So it'll be similar to what we did on Second Street with the Tiger Grant, and that was to really redo the infrastructure below the ground, which is important. You can't see that, but above the ground, it'll improve the accessibility and the safety, and for the pedestrians and for the businesses in that area. The sidewalks will be remade. You'll see the streetscape change with landscaping like trees, and then burying the power lines, which I know is somebody brought up in one of our meetings yesterday that we should look at burying our power lines. Well, that's part of this project. It was part of the Second
Tell them
Street.
how expensive that is.
Well, I know the plant board has told me how expensive it is before, but it is Second Street. We did it, and that was part of that grant. Home Street, we're going to do it there, and it's not going to cover the entire length of Home Street all the way from downtown to the Thornhill bypass, but it is going to get us a lot of the way because it is such a large project that we had to break it up into pieces.
So is there going to be an opportunity to incentivize new businesses to come to Home Street?
Well, I think this will help do that.
Yeah.
I think once you see that the public investment gets made, I think the private investment will follow. And it is we've already seen a couple of businesses looking at Home Street. I think this will certainly help.
Yeah.
And but that's the secondary part of this economic development. But the main thing is the improving the accessibility. Because if Frankfort downtown is going to grow, that's one area it will likely go because it's
spread to.
it's flat,
Yeah.
and we need to do that investment now.
Need a good solid infrastructure there.
Right, we're
Yeah.
building the foundation that
Yeah.
we can build upon later.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that, and we're so happy about getting that money. I know Home Street is an area that the City Commission has been looking at for years to try to make improvements to. So the fact that we were able to get that grant now is great. So what else do we have going on? I know you talk a lot about bridges.
Well, there's the both downtown bridges.
Yeah.
We have more than two, but the Singing Bridge, we are in the process of applying for a bridge investment program grant. So that would be there'd be some match to that, but we are working with the state so that the state would make that contribution for us.
Yeah.
But if we're successful with that's a $10 million, and we're factoring in a contingency there, so up to $10 million to shore up that bridge to make it where we can have larger vehicles go across that and just make sure that it lasts another 100 years.
Right.
And then also the Broadway Bridge is still in the works. I know people ask me about that every once in a while. The state has committed funds, and the state is working on that now. The Department of Transportation, the city has committed funds, so that is still happening.
Yeah.
But we're working with the state because the engineers have to do all that work.
And we're talking about making that a walking bridge, is that right?
A walking and pedestrian bridge to connect that'll in some ways be the the start of the Riverview Park, the reimagined Riverview Park.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
that's again that along with the riverbank stabilization, we're trying to make these big investments so that we can activate the rest of the riverfront master plan.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah. So we've got some things
I like the
in store.
riverfront.
And I think that's an area of focus going forward. The riverfront, the parks. We've also committed funds to invest in our park system, and we hope to do that this year.
Okay.
So that we've dedicated a funding source to issue a bond to make a large investment at once and not just do it over several years. We want to have a great impact now.
Okay.
And that's part of the park system, but you'll see other things in Capitol View and East Frankfort Park too.
Okay. I have a couple of questions that I'm not sure if they're not softball but baseball question. I don't know. But so everybody sees that the YMCA is getting demolished, which is crazy. When they take half the wall out and you can see inside it and like still treadmills and stuff. It's like, woo. So what's happening there, and then what's the plan for that space?
Well, that is now we're seeing that the dominoes fall on that whole development, parcels B and parcel C. Parcel B is where the Civic Center was. Parcel C is where the YMCA is and was. And I think what goes on that particular site will depend on what goes where the Civic Center is. Residential will be part of one or the other, maybe both. That's what we're being told now. And I think it depends on, the city is actively seeking funds to construct a new convention center.
Okay.
That the state capital needs a convention center. And we feel that this is a state project, and it needs to be funded primarily by the state. And we're willing to do our fair share, including building the parking structure and transit center on that site. But it depends on where that goes.
Yeah.
And I think that will determine where the residential goes. But right now that's in flux. But this was the next step. The parking structure is built, and once that's almost finished, then you see the YMCA come down. Next thing you'll see is Washington Street extended. So things are happening now, and it's starting to happen faster.
Okay. So there'll be plenty of room for a barcade?
Barcade is, somebody mentioned the barcade. And it wasn't on that site, but it was somewhere in the vicinity.
Okay.
So I think somebody out there is hearing your calls for a barcade.
Wow.
I will keep barking barcade.
No, somebody is talking about doing that.
Okay.
We'll talk offline.
It's a
I'll tell
great
you about
idea.
Well, I know Versailles is getting a Chipotle.
Oh yeah, Chipotle is his big thing.
Yeah.
And well, we hope to have new restaurants coming into the market. There's another, hopefully big announcements.
Everybody's
in
talking about
April.
First Watch.
First Watch is a big deal, and that's something. Yeah, when we talk about new businesses, I talked about downtown new businesses, but you can't minimize the impact that Norton Healthcare.
Oh yeah,
being open there, and the First Watch coming, because you talk about an upgrade in property.
Yeah.
Right there is a good example. The people are starting to make investments in Frankfort. I think that's a vote of confidence that Frankfort is moving in the right direction.
Sure.
Norton Healthcare, to their credit, is investing over $12 million into that building that they don't even
It's
own.
extremely nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they don't even own it.
They don't even own it.
Holy cow.
And all of the jobs that they're bringing, 17 new providers into the market. And of course, the First Watch, I don't think that's a coincidence that they're coming at the same time. And there's another restaurant that is looking at that space as well. And that is independent of the road system that will be built around that.
Yeah.
That it will open up the rest of that area and enable the paddocks development to happen as well.
Okay.
So we're building that infrastructure out, and the city's already got a memorandum of understanding with the state on that. We've already pledged funds to the construction of that road. So that is in the works, and we hope to have a major announcement in the next month or two that I think people will be very excited about.
Okay. Awesome. I can't wait. I know we've had our eyes on what's going on out by the interstate and the paddocks. So everybody is like, okay, what's going to be there? What's going to be there? And I'm excited about what I heard.
I've heard things too, and sometimes that's not well. And we'll see again. We'll see what happens, and I don't want to jinx anything.
I know I'm zipped on that because I don't want to jinx it either.
I need some tea. I need some tea to not hear on the show, but maybe after the show, I need a little birdies. Mayor, is there anything else pressing that you need to tell the people about? Or?
I think that sharing the good news today, and this
Yeah.
is important. I think the city, I think we're well positioned, well managed. We've got a well thought out plan, and we're working it. And I think people are starting to see the fruits of the labor, and I think we're just getting started.
Yeah.
So now's the time to be optimistic in Frankfort.
Thank you for
I'm
bringing
totally
some good
optimistic.
news
Yes.
this morning. We needed
Yes,
it.
Scott needs the good
Yeah.
news.
There's more to life than basketball after all.
That's right. And I just want to say, just thank you so much for your ongoing support of the Frankfort Plant Board. We appreciate you came out to see all of our employees out at the service center earlier this week, just to give them, your show of support and to thank them for what they do for our community every day. And they really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And we've just been very glad to have you as our mayor and to have your support because
Thank
it's
you.
very important for this community.
It's important that they hear from me directly and everyone hear from me directly that we support the Frankfort Plant Board. And, don't mess with success is what I say.
I like it. And we're just going to continue to be successful because as this community grows, so does the plant board.
Right.
That means more customers for us and that we'll be able to do more things to serve this community. So working together, I think we're going to do great things.
Let's keep up the good work.
Okay.
Mayor, thank you for coming in.